Hello and welcome to In the Pocket. My name's Jonny.
And my name's Chris.
Two totally average bass players, and we're here to talk all about that bass, as well as answering your questions at home each week, taking a look at the latest news and maybe break down some tones, or to give you the lowdown on the low end. Apologies if I'm sounding a bit bugged up in this. My illness is just moving around my body, you know, like... just each body part is now falling apart into 2025. So yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Feeling great.
You got really posh by the end of that. By the end, you're like, the lowdown on the low end.
Ooh, I could just feel all my nose just clogging up.
He's not from Bristol, he's from Bath.
Yeah, yes, I'll have you know. Lovely part of the world. You know.
Monte. Never been to Bath. Anyway. Hello, ill man, known as Jonathan Dibble. How are you?
I'm not ill, I'm sick, man.
Oh, I'm not ill, I'm sick.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. First poddy waddy doodah of the year. Happy days. Before we jump in, tell the people about your New Year's Eve, because I found it vicariously very entertaining.
Oh, yes. I met with some friends. There's like 4 different couples. There's 8 of us. We did a murder mystery night. So everyone was given a character like a couple of months ago, and you had to come dressed up as your character. And you had to be kind of ready to go and find out which one of us was the murderer. It was very fun. It was a good time. Played some board games and stuff. But my character was called D minor. Which
A minor would have been funnier.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was quite good because they were like a failed musician, so I was able to get right into character.
I've been living as the character for 5 years.
Yeah,
like Daniel Day-Lewis. Your name isn't even Jonny Dibble.
Yeah, the character was called Jonny Dibble. I was like offended. So that was good fun. Of course, D minor was a woman, so yes, I did don the appropriate regalia, and yeah, fantastic time all round.
Very nice.
Yeah, not bad. Do you want to talk about your New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I watched The Last Samurai on my own, and I went to bed at 10 past midnight.
Excellent. You're like, goodbye.
I was like, cheers 2024, that'll do. Sigh, went to bed. Yeah. Oh my God. Have you seen The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise? Have you not seen? I've seen it before. It's in the top 10 for me, very comfortably. Like, real men cry at the end of The Last Samurai. Like, it's a good film. See, like, annoyingly, I watched it because it was coming off Amazon Prime on New Year's Day. So I looked at it and went, oh, gotta give it one last watch. So I gave it a watch. Wonderful. However, not related to bass in any way. I do apologise, those of you listening and watching. I've been watching Mad Men. I've been trying to finish Mad Men. Just watch it once all the way through for about 10 years on and off. Because every time I get somewhere, or I get like, you know, 4 seasons in, 5 seasons in, 6 seasons in, 7 seasons, I either stop, the person who I've been watching the show with is no longer in my life, or it comes off the streaming platform that I'm watching it on. And this time, I only had 2 seasons left to go. And I got up on New Year's Day and thought, you know what, I'm not doing much. You know, I'll get stuck into Mad Men. Happy days. No, it's been taken off Amazon Prime.
Gone.
Again. So I've still never finished Mad Men.
You have to buy the DVD.
No, because that would be admitting defeat. I'm never going to buy it on DVD. Ever. Even if I get to the finale of season 7 and I just have to rent the episode for like £1.28 or something like that, I'm never going to do it. I'm not doing it. You can't make me Jeff Bezos. I'm not doing it. Anyway, all rants aside, let's talk about bass, because that's the actual reason we're all here, not me whinging about streaming platform providers.
Well, as this is the first one of the year, this episode is going to be very much focused on 2025, looking forward and looking back a little bit as well. We're going to start off by talking about gear that we're looking forward to or that we want to see announced this year. We'll have a look at a few news items that already have been announced. Then we're going to have a look at what we want to stay in 2024 before looking at our New Year's resolutions for the year. As alluded to, let's start off with the gear for 2025. NAMM is just around the corner, so it's about time that brands are getting ready to announce a lot of new stuff that they're going to bring out this year. I've got a handful of things that I'm interested in or would like to see. And I'm going to start things off with something that I feel like I say this one every single year, but I've got a good feeling. Right,
okay.
I've got a good feeling. Whoa, excuse me. The first of which being Sterling. I want more Sterlings. 2025, let's see some more Sterling models. I think they're fantastic brand, great quality all round. There's something for everyone at each price point, which I think is brilliant. There are a number of models that we've seen in the Music Man USA range that have never made their way to the affordable Indonesian range, that being the Caprice, that being the Cutlass. The Sterling doesn't get that much of a look in. Hell, even the Bongo and the Sabre. I nearly bought a Sabre last year, should I say, sorry. And I would love to make 2025 the year of the Sabre. Do it. Give us an affordable one. I think it would be absolutely amazing. That's the first one on my list. What are your thoughts?
I would really like a Sterling Sabre. That would be really cool. And yeah, you are absolutely right. I do think I agree there with terms of Music Man. Like they don't kick as many things down as they do towards like Sterling and even the sub range compared to like, Squire may do compared to like the full fat American and down. And I'd like to see more brands do that because they used to do that. It's like you get a signature model instrument that would be like in the American range, be it like Fender, Gibson, whatever. And then they would have the various increments as it moved down throughout the more affordable brands underneath that umbrella of the big fancy American company. And yeah, I'd like to see a lot more companies do that. I genuinely can't think of anything that I would really like to see in 2024. I'd like to see a few more short scales only because of course
you would.
I know I want one now. I really want one, but I want to see what's kind of floating around before I go for it. I don't really want to do the obvious thing and be like, I've bought a JMJ because just it feels like everyone's got one now, even though everyone definitely doesn't. But what else was I just had a really good thought pop into my head then, and it's gone. So maybe that'll come back later.
What's your thinking?
Yes, go on. Yeah, jump into something else.
Another point with that whole Sterling conversation is that I don't understand why brands don't do that unless it's going to detract from sales of the more expensive versions. So there is no Sabre in production at the moment. So what are they waiting for? Why not? I know that there's a lot that goes into designing these and getting the price point right. Yeah, but there's never been one. Why not? There's never, or very rarely, a Sabre in the full fat Music Man range. The only thing, from a business point of view, you'd be like, well, we're not going to do an affordable one because then people won't buy the expensive one, and that's what we want to sell.
I would argue that's not the case. I think if someone wants the expensive one, they will get the expensive one because in their mind's eye, the more affordable one in an import range or a Squire or a Sterling and all that sort of stuff, they don't want that one. That one doesn't do anything for them. They want the expensive one. It's the same reason. It's like, why would you buy a Gibson Les Paul when the Epiphone Les Paul is just as fine? Why would you buy an American jazz bass when the Mexican ranges are amazing? Like Squire is great. Why bother? Because people they don't want the cheap one. Yeah. They want the expensive one. I think people want to spend some people want to spend a lot of money on a musical instrument because that is part of the joy of the purchase, and lots of other people don't. So I think if Music Man brought out something in the Sterling range or even the sub range or something like that, I don't think it will affect sales. I would be really surprised if it actually did.
I do wonder if it's a heritage thing sometimes when they're like, especially like things like Epiphone and Gibson with like the G3 and things like that. Like, why have they never or not in recent times brought it back properly? You know, we've had a couple of weird versions over the years, but never properly have they brought it back. And it's like, why not? Is it so that when they eventually do, they can whack the fattest price tag on it and people will buy it? I don't understand that thinking, really. I don't think that that's a great idea, just because that is such a if buts and maybes on like a long-term gain when I think you could be making gains now and upping reputation now and dominating that market now.
Well, I think it just damages the reputation, because like Gibson doing the weird version of the grabber that isn't really a grabber, I think just leads to negative thought connotations around that specific instrument under the Gibson catalogue.
Yeah.
So then when they do it right, people are going to go, well, you kind of got it wrong last time, so how do I know this one's going to be the right? Because you got it wrong.
So many comments on that base are just like, oh, classic Gibson, you know, classic, of course. And before we move on, I'll just say about that product, great bass, terrible product. That's how I would sum it up.
Please elaborate.
I think that says it all, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, so why? But why is it? If it was a good bass, but not be a good product?
Because it's just, that's the issue with it. It's a grabber that isn't a grabber. So like, it's a terrible idea.
Okay.
Terrible idea. Like, like awful. They've made a brilliant. Right. They've made a brilliant instrument.
They've made a good instrument, but it didn't hit the brief.
No.
Right, now I understand. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It'd be like, you know, if like Lamborghini made this amazing amazing like estate car. It was like, oh, this car is amazing. It's so comfortable. It's wonderful. It's like, yeah, but it's slow as shit. So it's like, no, it's a crap Lamborghini, but an amazing car.
It's a Lamborghini Gallardo L. Long.
Yeah, L for long.
Anyway, it's like,
okay, I get.
Before I move on, it's like Fiat 500s. They did the Fiat 500L, and it's like, what is the point? That's not even a Fiat 500 anymore. Yeah,
the Mini Clubman.
Yeah, it's just
the big Mini.
Yeah. Anyway,
they're so weird when you see them driving down the road, because it's like it's a Mini the size of like a Land Rover.
Yeah,
you look at it. It's like Land Rovers are tiny now as well, or Range Rovers. They're so teeny weeny.
Weird.
Sorry, compact SUV, as I've recently learned in having dipped my toe in the car market again.
Oh, yes. Well, speaking of weird products, I want to see some weird products, and I would love to see some more basses from the Squier Paranormal range.
Yes.
You know, like, I think they will, because they are hook, line, and sinkers. Like, every single product they've made has been really, really cool. And it's just, you get this weird mishmash of products that you never thought you wanted or never thought you needed until they make them. And you're like, oh, yes, what a great idea. Let's see that. Let's do that. So, yeah, that's what I would really, really like to see.
I completely forgot about the Paranormal range. Like, it's a good job you're here, or this would just be me going, what do I like? I don't know. Yeah, Paranormal's a good show, because that's like Fender's little corner of like just weird stuff. But it's weird stuff that but it's weird stuff that works. Like, it's really cool. I'd like to see some Squier contemporary stuff that actually works properly. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I want more Meteoras. Like, I want a passive Meteora. I'd quite like that. That would be cool. Passive Meteora, like, lean into kind of like the 70s sci-fi kind of styling. So quite vintage, but then takes advantage of that weird futuristic shape. That'd be
Antigua cool. Meteora.
Oh, yes. Mold burst. Let's go.
But like, yeah, I totally agree. That would be great. Give us a classic vibe. Well, Is it classic vibe? I don't think it would be in that range, would it? It would have to be.
It would have to be a bit more than that, I imagine. But something in that sort of more budget friendly price range. I'm not interested in it being passive. In being active. I don't really care for active Fender that much anyway. But passive would be cool.
The Player Plus range changed my mind on active Fenders. They really upped the game with those, because previously I'd been like, nah, doesn't sound very good, but they sounded great, those preamps. But if they could do an affordable Squire one that's passive, go for it. Let's do it. Let's see it. That would be really, really cool. Totally agree. That would be lovely. Speaking of lovely, I would like to share with you now some little bits of news that have come out. Actually, one of them is new and one of them is a little older, that we didn't really talk about. And I was like, I must remember to talk about this before all the NAMM stuff comes out, because I think these are worth talking about. I think it's really cool. So I'm going to share my screen now so that you and the audience at home can see everything that we want. Okay, here we go. This is a new bass from Shergold Guitars. You seen these?
Yes, I have, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because I think that is well cool.
Yeah, right? Like
Vibe machine. That's a vibe.
This could have been a Squire Paranormal. Like, when I was thinking about that then, I was like, it's a Telecaster bass body with these kind of two TV Jones style humbuckers, totally passive, perfect vintage vibe in champagne gold, one of the best finishes. Oh god. With a matching headstock, vibe machine, like you said, short scale as well.
Yes, it had to be.
Yeah, and it does not break the bank. These are
reasonably priced.
£450 new. Look at this thing. It's so beautiful.
Look at the back of the neck.
I know. It's roasted maple. Or is it? Yes, roasted maple. It's got these filter sonic humbuckers there, Nico 5s. It's just an absolute stunner. Friend of the podcast, alumni, we've got Daisy Pepper here demoing them. Get away. Demoing them excellently. These sound really, really cool. Exactly how you'd think they'd sound. It's kind of no nonsense, short scale.
Look at that editing there. I liked that little nod there.
That's the better. Look at these.
Nice.
Yeah, they come in this block, this black and the golds. I think two excellent choices. Canadian roasted maple. There you go.
Yeah.
The Laurel fretboard. Yeah, Laurel, not amazing. Rosewood's the choice, but for 450 quid, pretty good indeed. Would love to get my hands on one of these. Really, really cool. The other thing that they have also done, and I totally missed this, because they brought out another bass as well. The Libertine bass.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I missed this as well.
Yeah. So this is a medium scale. So similar to the other one, but we have got, instead of that Telecaster body, it's more like an Aria Pro 2 type ordeal we've got going on here with these two different style humbuckers that kind of remind me of like Nordstrand style Ibanez humbuckers. But yeah, more traditional in that sense. Hasn't got the roasted maple, and this one comes in the black, and also this kind of natural color. I will get that up now. I'm sure the video will tell us more. Oh, it's like this gold as well.
Sounds good though.
Yeah, it does.
Took my head
good.
Clean off then, but it sounds good.
Sorry. I'll mute that in the edit. But yeah, these sound way more modern, I would say.
Yeah.
But still not like crazy modern. Like you've got it's totally passive. Again, this is £460 on these, so still not breaking the bank. But if you're after that slightly more modern sound, these are the way to go. Excellent, both excellent looking basses. Chris Horrocks, if you had to choose between one of the two, what are you having?
Oh, there's literally no contest. It's the Telecaster all day, every day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
they both sound good.
Agree.
They both sound good. That The other one, the more modern one, did sound really nice and modern and punchy while it was pummeling me to death from how loud that video was then. But yeah, this telly style is fantastic. Love the champagne finish.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this one all day long. Like, if you're looking for a vibe machine, that's the one, baby.
Indeed.
Like,
very
perfect.
much so.
Love these style of pickups as well. Very, very cool. Excellent. Speaking of very, very cool, friends over at Eastwood Guitars have brought out something new. And I was just checking before coming online to record this, you know, if there's anything else they wanted to talk about. And I discovered these and was like, oh, I didn't see they dropped these. So apparently this is by popular demand. They have released the Revolta Mondata bass. Oh, that's great. Thanks, internet. Come on. Only want to share my screen. There you go. That's the one. So, yeah, kind of weird. A bit like an offset modern Thunderbird style bass with the pickups and the controls. It's very much giving Thunderbird vibes, but then you've got this kind of offset Jaguar-ish body. So I think this is very cool. There is something I don't think is very cool, though.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That headstock with this bass is a crime.
Oh.
For those listening, it's like a Rickenbacker.
Yeah. I was expecting like a, 4 in a line kind of thing. Even 4 in a line reversed, something like that. But okay, yeah. I see how you teed me up for that one as well. You made sure I couldn't see the headstock, and then you dropped it on me. Like, oh yeah.
Like this was looking great. Like, I really enjoyed this. And I don't dislike the headstock, but I just think it doesn't go with this body.
There were better choices available.
Yeah, it's like ultra vintage vibe with the headstock, and then this kind of postmodern body. I don't know, like this. It doesn't quite go for me. It comes in that Toro black satin, which I think is my favorite finish. Comes in a white, which is quite striking, and then a sunburst as well, which is fine. Kind of leaves a little to be desired. But yeah, it is a medium scale as well. A lot of medium scales. Maybe that's a trend for 2025.
Yeah,
more medium scales coming out. I welcome
medium's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I never really understood the need for that because, like, I 30, 34 makes sense. Why do we need 32?
Yeah, it's just that medium crowd. Some people don't want... They want a mix of both, basically, or like they think it's too much of a departure from that sound. So they're like, oh, I want a little bit of that, but not totally. Or they don't like the way it feels so much. This bass, and I've listened to this video, and it sounds nice, sounds cool. Definitely a unique sounding bass, but that headstock is a crime on that bass.
I mean, the more I look at it, the more I hate it less. I think it would have looked better with like a 4 in a row kind of headstock, but like I'm not looking at it going, "That's an outrage."
I don't hate
it. I don't hate it. I don't love it.
I like all of the elements. I like everything about this, but it's just off.
But altogether less. So
yeah. And it's even like the rounded inlays almost kind of don't go with this kind of...
they should be like big block inlays, like 70s block inlays.
Yeah, and because this is very 70s looking, this body.
Yeah.
And the rest, it's kind of like the curves are kind of in the wrong places almost. But hey, I'd love to check one out. I'd love to see what these are like because I like this pickup combo and it sounds really cool. So, Eastwood Guitars, I've never played one, but I think they are a very cool brand that people should keep their eyes on because often they produce some real oddballs that can end up being pretty cool.
They do, and they make so many things that just look really cool, and they're not like yet another company that just makes 400 million jazz bass shaped instruments. It's like you can't deny they're a pretty unique builder, which I think is very cool because a lot of companies just just don't do that, do they? They just follow the trends and try to make their own spin on something that's clearly commercially doing very well. But Eastwood kind of feels like they've never really done that.
Yeah, I definitely recommend going and following them on social media to keep up to date with the latest models, because this passed me by unless I saw it on their socials. So
yeah,
definitely go and do that. You should also go and check out In the Pocket Pod, okay, on Instagram. Go and give us a follow so you can stay up to date with all the latest things that we're sharing. I also want to take this time as well to talk about our Patreon. Patreon.com/In the Pocket Podcast. We have started Patreon. For that, you get some extra content every single episode. So after each episode, we record a little bonus segment that goes out to just our lovely patrons who help to keep the lights on here on the podcast. I'm now
These
going
lights.
to... Yes, those lights right...
Specific,
right there.
No other lights, just those two. That's it.
And that's all we need. Yes, it is lovely, lovely, lovely. Do you want to tell the people what you get for tier 3?
Yes. Is tier 3 the big one?
Tier 3 is the big boy.
Lovely. Yeah, so we tier 3 as long as wow, words, use your words. Alongside everything that you get in tier 1 and tier 2, our tier 3 members get access to our wonderful little giveaways that we're doing every month. And get a nice little shout out, a little In the Pocket road crew, get a personalised thank you from us, get a little shout out at the end of the episode. Happy days. Johnny, we have already given away one fantastic little toy to one of our lovely patrons. And we haven't announced, we did announce in the last episode what we are giving away next, but we haven't released it publicly. Do you want to remind people what we're giving away?
Yes, it is the Squier Sonic Precision Bass. Let me just grab it from my rack.
Wow. Nice rack.
Thanks.
Here we go.
There she is.
Oosh.
She's a pretty girl. This is totally stock, just with a changed pickguard and pickup covers. All right, so you'll get it as it is right here. Absolute stunner. I'll include the original bits to the winner as well. But yes, these are fantastic. I'm going to be doing a video, a little demo of one of these coming up very soon, so you can get your hands on this wonderful P-Bass if you join our T3 membership soon.
Happy days. Yep, so sign up, Patreon, links in the bio, all that sort of stuff. Thank you very much. If for whatever reason you don't want to sign up to tier 3, that's perfectly fine. You've got tier 2. Tier 2 grants you access to the exclusive section that we record at the end of this episode, where we sort of ask for... Are you all right there?
Yes, yeah, just dying.
That's all right. Well, can you do it when I'm not like talking to people about the Patreon, please? Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. T2. I knew you'd do that.
God.
Yeah, you get stuff, whatever. And then again, if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, and you just want to help support us a little bit with £1 a month, you can do with our tier 1 patron membership. That's just £1 a month. There's no added extras on top of that. It's just a nice little thank you. It's very much appreciated. It all adds up. We got a lot of people in tier 1, which is just giving us £1 a month, which is very, very nice. But a lot of people in tier 3, more than I kind of thought we'd get lots and lots of tier 2s. And then, hardly anyone in tier 3. But tier 3 seems to be the most popular one, which is obviously wonderful because the financial support goes a long way. Like, we're planning some really cool things for 2025. And unfortunately, some of these really cool things do actually cost a bit of money, which is a bit of a shame. So you are making mine and Johnny's life significantly easier by helping us afford things like petrol and hotel rooms and Burger King. I don't know, not Burger King. I really would rather. I really would rather not go to Burger King if that's all right. But yes, 3 different memberships. Link is in la bio. Thank
Join
you very much.
Patreon. It's sick.
Yeah, Patreon. It's sick. So,
Right.
would you like
These
to...
are our
Yes.
tier 3 members. I want to give a quick shout out to Eric Molyneux. Molyneux, if I get your name wrong, good. Ryan Badarek, yes. Charles Johnson, Dean Gordon, Dowell Hazelhurst Jevons? Let me know. Duncan Watson, Emily Gonzalez, I. Ferris, Alan Wadey, Alexander Shawn, Chris Morgan, Rob Bisbee, Ethan Eichhorn, Justin A, Jonas on bass, Yost Crone, Mark W, Brett Linkowski, I'll get that wrong every single time, and of course Caleb Disney. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. You are literally the biggest legends in the world. Shall we move on to our next segment?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we didn't want to end on a downer. So we thought we would put our New Year's resolutions at the end and now talk about the things that maybe we want to stay in 2024. So this might be a trend. This might be, a more personal thing. What do we want to not have moving forward? I've got 2 things. One thing more bass related, and one thing a little bit more personal. So maybe I'll start with the bass related one.
Yes.
For me, task procrastination, I would like to stay in 2024. So I got a lot of gear this year sent to me, and I'll be honest, sometimes there were bits that I'm like, right, I've got that. Okay, I need to review that. I'll open that. I'll open that later today, and I'll check it out. Oh no, it's 1 week later. I still haven't opened it. And then this like building up of anxiety and like fear, and because I know that because the things I was sent were not easy things to just plug in and listen to and play. They would take time to learn and to do, and so I just ended up just putting them off. I was like, and it just created this build up of anxiety about these products, and I'm like, oh my god, this is really annoying. So my goal for this year, or thing that I want to stay in 2024, is that feeling. And in order to do that, just need to procrastinate less and just get on with it. Just get on with it. Maybe that should just be my catchphrase. Just bloody get on with it, mate.
That's like an even more British version of the Nike slogan. So just do it. It's like, just bloody well get on with it, chap.
Get on with it, man, bro.
I totally agree. Like, I do the exact same thing. Like, I've got a to-do list of things that I've been meaning to do for like 6 months that I'm like, you should really do this, you should do that. Like YouTube stuff. Like, It took me, I don't know, 6 months to finally get on with doing that first YouTube video, and I really enjoyed it. It went really well. It wasn't like, oh god, that was horrible, I never wanted to do it again. It was really positive experience. And then I'm like, well, do another one. And it's like my brain goes, I don't want to.
It's like, and it's because it's a scary mental thing to take on. It's like it's a big mental load to be like, I've got to do this thing, So, and it sounds pathetic, it sounds ridiculous, but when you've got so much other stuff going on in your life, you're like, how can I make time to do this and be afraid to fail, in those moments? Because like you got so much little time, you don't want to dedicate it towards stuff that could go wrong. And I think that I've said it on this podcast before, that anxiety around failing or not admitting that you don't know something, which is just learning. It's just learning. Like, that's all it is. But sometimes, especially as you get older, I think sometimes you become a bit more afraid to admit that you need help, or that you need to tell yourself, I don't know how to do this, so let's learn it. And it can be difficult to admit that sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's because, I think this swings into mine that I'd like to leave in 2024 is the comparison to other people. Because I think it's very easy while you're learning a new thing, and this doesn't have to be about bass or content creation, literally anything. Like, let's just take going to the gym, which is something a lot of people might necessarily be doing for the first time in January. You go to the gym, you think, well, I want to be strong, I want to get better at bench press or whatever. And you sit there, you're on the bench, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you've looked at some YouTube videos about how to bench press and all that sort of stuff. And you start off with, you can only do the bar, which is 20 kilos, and that's the best you can do. But then you look to your right, that's your left. You look to your left, and you see some utter Herculean monster of a man doing 160 kilos. It's massive. There's like this many plates on each bar. He's huge. He's what you want to look like, and you don't look like that right now, and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's very easy to look at that and go, well, I'll never be able to do that. Like, what's the point? But when you think about it, that person was exactly where you are right now. And it's the same with that correlation, that scenario applies to everything, like literally everything. It's like I look back at stuff that I filmed, or when we first did the video stuff with the podcast, we were just doing it on our webcams with pretty basic lighting. I didn't understand anything about how lighting was working. I was just asking you with what very limited stuff I had access to in my house. And that was the best we could do. And now I was looking at other video things online and going, oh, that looks really good, and mine looks terrible, and I'll never ever get it to that standard. And then now, like over a year later, this is what it looks like, and I'm very happy with this. It's still a learning process. But then I get people messaging me on Instagram now going, how did you make that Instagram reel look that good? Like, someone I know literally messaged me like 2-3 days ago going, that Instagram reel I uploaded, going, how did you make that look good with a phone? And I was like, well, firstly, it's not a phone, it's a camera. That was part of it. But then I was like, no. It, like, I'm in front of a window. The window's at this angle. I've got this light and I've got that light. And then in editing, there's a few basic things you could do and passing that information on. And I think the comparison trap, the comparison game is very, very, very much something I have every intention of leaving in 2024. There's always someone doing better than you. There's always something that looks better. There's always someone who's playing a better gig, who, has a better opportunity, or who's getting this and getting that. That's always going to be the case. Like, I look back 3 years ago and think, God, I wish I was doing this. Now I am doing this. And then I look on and go, oh, but this person's doing that. The hamster wheel never stops, and I would really like to get off the hamster wheel now and stop doing that, because I'm spoiling my own fun, basically.
Yeah, 100%. It's always, everyone else has got different scenarios and different lives that push them in different directions, and you can't have the same life as someone else, so you can't expect to have the same things as other people. So when you're playing that comparison game, you're always going to lose. Yeah,
when when you play the comparison game, you lose every time. Like, I remember, what did I say? I think I was talking to you about something like I'd shot a reel. This was like not even that long ago, and I was quite unhappy with it. And
you said, "Why does my willy look so small?" And I was like, "Well, you can't. Sometimes you can't change those things."
Yeah, genetics are genetics, Chris. I'm sorry. Yeah. Meanwhile, you, but no, I said something to you, being like, basically, why does mine look like this and yours looks like that? I think it was talking to the camera. I was like, I keep getting it wrong. Like, I'm saying the same lines like 6 times, and I'm not happy with any of the takes and all that sort of stuff. And you said to me, and this thought lives in my head in a good way. You said, this is the first time you've been doing this to camera. I've been doing this weekly for 5 years now. Yeah. And there's a lot to be said in that quote, because I think it's very guilty. I'm guilty of it. And I think everyone is guilty of looking at someone else's video or someone else's gig or what they're doing and going, well, why do they have that and I don't, when we're basically the same? It's like, are you not the same though? Like, this person's been doing this longer than you, and that's kind of the only variable when you think about it.
Yeah, your experience is totally different. Your lead up to that moment is totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, you're only seeing a snapshot, like you said, like, oh, how do you I've been saying this thing again and again, and it's like, yeah, in my edit, I've been saying the same thing again and again, and I've just chosen the best bit.
Yeah, but we don't get to see that. Even I don't see that, and it's like I see first drafts of stuff you're editing.
Yeah,
I still don't see that bit, and it's like you don't see the 15th take of the same Instagram reel because I've kept getting the bass part wrong and all that sort of stuff. Like that Sabrina Carpenter reel I posted the other day. That bass line in the chorus, at least, never repeats itself. It's a different little variation every time across the entire length of the chorus. And I kept forgetting, is this the one where I go to the low E flat? Or is this the one where I do the octave bit? Is this the one with the little rundown as it repeats? And I kept mixing them up. And they do all work. Like, if you mix them all up, they do. It still works. It's the same three chords all the way through. But it's not the part. That's not the actual part. The part is this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. And I kept getting it wrong. And I reckon it was about 10 before I got it right. And then I think the 11th take is the one that I ended up using and sticking on Instagram. But like, no one sees that. I bet the normal person thought I went, okay, cool, click, done. The edit took 1 second. I mean, it was a quick edit by normal editing standards, but it's also quick because I've got to the point where I can look at my camera with my lights in my room and go, well, I like it when I move the contrast here, the saturation here, and the shadows there, and I have this filter that I blend in by 20%, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And I know what I want. But I only got to that point because I've spent hours and hours and hours going, oh, how do I get it to look like this? And why is it too bright? Why is it too dark? And trying to fix things in the edit. And it's like, oh, I can't fix it now because I don't understand how exposure works. So I've blown up all the highlights behind me, so they're all digitally messed up, and I can't fix that now. And it's all a learning curve, but people don't get to see that because no one shows that part because that's, I guess, not interesting, and it doesn't fit into the sort of social media highlight of look how amazing I am, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, the comparison of taking my entire life and comparing it to one 10-second clip, I want to leave that in 2024 because I spent almost all of New Year's Eve doing that because I didn't have a gig, watching all my other friends and colleagues playing shows and basically going, oh, I must be terrible. Must just be me. Like, I'm rubbish. But it's like, no, it's not that. There's other factors why you've got this and you've not got that. And those people probably look at you and think, oh, I wish I had this thing that he doesn't have. And everyone's doing it to each other. It's just everyone's doing each other.
That's a problem. That's a problem and something, that would solve the world at the same time, Shall we move on to our New Year's resolutions?
Yes, please. I just spoke for ages, so I think you should go first.
All right. I've got a few, so we'll talk about them now. We have had some submissions from people on Patreon as well. So the exclusive content for this week, we're going to be reacting to your New Year's resolutions, your bass-related resolutions. I've got some that are podcast-related, some that are playing-related, and then just some personal one as well. So I'll start off with my kind of bass-related one. First one is learn more songs. I don't learn songs. Like, unless I'm doing them for the tribute band, I don't learn songs because my practice time is noodling and playing. Like, occasionally I'll learn like a little segment of something, but there's definitely like gaps in my knowledge because I haven't learned certain songs, and I want to recognize that this year and learn some of those because I want to expand my vocabulary, and I think learning songs is an amazing way to do that. And I know that, but I just don't do it because I never set aside the time to do it. So I think what I'm going to try and do is if I get a new bass in, and instead of just like noodling the same thing on it to test it, I'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to learn a song right now using this bass. So then it's both playing around with the bass and learning a song, advancing my skills at the same time. So yeah, that's a big one for me this year. I'm not like you, Chris, where you are, because of your job, forced to learn so many songs.
Well, that's a really good point, because one of mine is learn more songs, but
even more.
No, but this is the interesting thing. It's like I learn songs, but I don't learn songs. It's like I learn songs to a standard to play them live in front of people, not to the standard of like I actually know the correct like line, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of like for weddings and stuff, unless it's like an iconic bit, like there's like I don't know, the chain, you know, with the actual iconic bass riff. That's one thing, but all the rest of that song or other songs where you don't actually have to play, there's not a specific bass part that's like super important. You're just playing chords and things like that. I don't learn it. I learn the chords and I move. I've got little tricks that I do in terms of like, well, if I'm on a major chord, I'll do this. If I'm on a minor chord, I'll do that. If it's, you know, like a 1-4-1-4-6-5 progression, I'll do this because I do that for everything. You know, I do that. I learn the song to a standard of getting through the song, and I'd like to do that less so I can actually learn the actual part, because I'm not getting the I'm not growing, because I'm just learning. I'm just memorizing the order in which the chords of a song are. You know, like if someone told me like "Learn to Fly" by Foo Fighters, I know the intro is B, C sharp, A, E. I know that's the intro. Don't know the part. I don't know what Nate Mendel plays in that song. It's the same with like the Pretender. I know like it's an A, an F, and an E. Got that right? Or is it an A, an F sharp, and an F? It's one of those.
It's
the open.
It's an open, then a 2, then a 1.
Well, there we go. That's an F sharp, an F.
Yeah, no insight.
But I don't. But I'm pretty sure that's not what he plays. There's probably like a bit in there, or there's other parts in there, and I don't know those. I've played the Pretender at weddings. Someone's gone, "Oh, play some Foo Fighters," and we've all gone, "Do we all know the Pretender?" And it's like the guitarist knows all the main bits and all that sort of stuff. Drummer knows it well enough to get through the song. Singer yells along, and I just kind of do the root notes. You know, it's enough to get the audience through the experience. I don't know the song. So I'm in the same boat as you. And there's been a few patrons who've said the same thing as well, which is interesting. So I totally agree with that New Year's resolution. I think that is a very good one.
Fantastic. Have you got one that you'd like to bring to the table right now?
I'll do a bass. Yeah, I'll do a bass one. I would like to actually learn how to slap properly. You know, because it's all in the shoulder, like, you know, I need to, you know, properly, like, you know, all that kind of thing. But no, not slap people. Don't do that. Slap the bass. Yeah. Because I never really need to do it. Like, there's not been any songs I've really had to do any slapping. I know how to play higher ground, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't have, what I don't know is, like, robust slap technique, you know. This is how you do the thump. This is how you do the pop. This is how you make sure it sounds even across the E, A, D, and G strings. You know, this is how you do it. This is how you do like a double thumb. You know, all the actual physical correct technique to slap. I don't know how to do that. I've always just done a noise that sounds a bit like slapping. And every time I do it live, I do go, I know this could be better. I'm just doing it right now as like a bit of a laugh. But it's a technique I actually want to sit down now and actually go, okay, how'd you do this correctly? How'd you do this cleanly? Because my version is not clean. Like, I've recorded myself doing slap and I'm like, the muting technique is bad, you know, in the left hand and the right hand. And I would like to fix that. So that's my other little resolution.
That's a good one.
Slapping.
That's a good one, because I could easily apply that same one to myself as well, because
I think lots of people can for different reasons. Yeah,
because I can slap, but not in the traditional sense. Like, I don't think I'm terrible at
no,
slap
I don't
bass.
think you're bad at it at all. You're better than me. You're definitely better than me.
But I think that, like, because I do the flea thing where it's thumb up, Sorry, thumb down.
Thumb down, yeah.
Thumb down. I'm like that. So it's the double thumb thing is kind of backwards in a way. It kind of doesn't really work.
You're in the wrong place. Yeah,
exactly.
I would like to do the proper clean, either thumb up or thumb adjacent through the string. You know, like when you watch like gear demos of like, if you watch like Ian, like if you watch Ian Allison slap or something like that, really clean. Like, you know, across all strings, nice and even. The slaps and the pops are of similar volume. My pops are way louder than the thump part. I don't have the thumb part down at all. It's not even remotely to the right standard. And like I said, I haven't needed to do it. I've been playing as like a full-time for hire live bass player, and no one's ever gone, oh, we actually really want some slap in this part. No one's really needed me to do it, but I would like to just do it. It's just for me, really. I'd like to be able to sit there and go, out of the big three, pick, fingers, slap, this one, massively lacking.
And for YouTube as well, like,
yeah, of course,
got to give a little bit, you know, got to do a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Never the main focus, but a little bit of flavour.
Just throw a little bit in for people to be happy. And it's always, even just selfishly, it's nice. I just want it where people can go like, let's give it up for Chris on the bass and just do the stupid, like, the proper double thumb mental stuff. Because people who can't play bass think that's the coolest thing you can do on a bass. But anyone who can play bass goes, don't care. Literally don't care. I know you never have to do that.
Yeah, so true.
Let's hear you play consistent eighth notes at 120 BPM, mate. Go on. No, you can't. Exactly.
My next one is so I've had a bass playing one, I've got a content one, and I've got a podcast one. So
okay, hit me with the content one, because I've got a content one too.
Content one for me is 2025 is going to be YouTube over Instagram.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I said the same thing.
Yeah, like for me, I definitely felt like 2024, I let YouTube just kind of coast and put a lot more effort into Instagram, daily posting, and, you know, really being hung up on that and curating that. And it worked. Like, it worked. It definitely had the YouTube, Instagram, it definitely had that impact, you know, where like the growth of that was way more. And whereas now I wanna even out. It got to a point where if I kept going, my followers on Instagram would have overtaken subscribers on YouTube, and I want to be known as a YouTuber, not as a Instagrammer.
Yeah. You know? Okay. Yeah.
I want the long form, and because it's the long game I'm playing, so I should be putting more effort into the long form content.
That is so true, because I think even if you're playing the long game, I feel like Instagram doesn't support people who want to play the long game, because I'm playing the long game. I've been playing the long game. Like, I've been posting pretty aggressively on Instagram for years. And it's only been this year where I've had some sort of growth. But that growth has been through opportunities that I have not gotten through Instagram. It's been things from the podcast or people I've met in the real world, or like brand stuff that's not come through YouTube. But yet the input, as in the reason why I'm doing the video, is outputted to Instagram, or Instagram. Basically, it's like Instagram will go, that's an amazing video, Chris. 1,000 views. Like that kind of thing. Whereas I'll let you jump back in, but I feel like at the moment where I'm at, I feel like you get more reward from YouTube.
It feels
like there's more of it feels like there's more of a reward. Like when I did that YouTube video, demoing the Ashdown, which is just here over my shoulder. How nice, isn't that? Look how well that fits. Come on. It just fits under the shelf. Magnet. It's like I built the shelf to fit it. I didn't do that. There were loads of comments, loads of like genuine engagement that people were asking, going, I really like this. I'm concerned about that. What do you think? And I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I gig with this amp, and this is, I agree. Like, I don't love the drive on that RM head. I don't love it, personally. And I told people that, and then that was reciprocated in a positive way. Whereas Instagram, sometimes you'll post something and just no one sees it, and you can't do anything about that. And I don't like that about
the
Instagram.
longevity of the long form content as well. It's got a bigger shelf life. Ultimately.
Bingo, because you don't get rewatch value on because it's like if you didn't know me and you were going to go through my Instagram, you're only going to see what the most recent thing is, and the app isn't going to reward you for it. You scroll down my page to get a year back, or even go back 3 months when I played at Glasgow Academy to 2,500 people. Unless that's pinned at the top of my page, and I can't pin everything. You're not going to see that. Whereas if you stick my name into YouTube, you get my video, you get the stuff I did with PMT, you get this podcast. I think you get a greater representation of me as an online presence better on YouTube than Instagram.
YouTube is like a search platform,
And Instagram really isn't. It tries to. It says it is, but if you type in like slap bass tutorial, in fact, I'll give you a real world example. I was trying to get better at bent over rows in the gym. It's not a thing. Don't you dare. And I wanted a tutorial, to get the technique right and stuff like that. Instagram, nothing, completely useless. YouTube, really good, but all the videos were too long. TikTok, I typed in bent over row gym tutorial. Yep. I got like 6 videos from like 6 different huge fitness influencers who are all personal trainers, and all their videos were perfect. It was like exactly what I wanted. It was like in 90 seconds, it was like, you do this, you do that. This is what you don't do. Avoid that. This, job done. And I was like,
TikTok
perfect.
They're one of their aims is to overtake Google in becoming the biggest search engine. And you can see where it's working.
Yeah, I definitely.
Instagram doesn't have that.
No, Instagram's sort of search function I think is genuinely terrible. Yeah. And you'll put the name of a person in, and it won't come up. It doesn't come up sometimes.
However, I do think that Instagram feels more like a community. Like I feel like TikTok, you're just kind of farting things out into there, and people follow you, but it's not really like.
Well, people don't have to follow you. Like there's people whose content I love seeing on TikTok, and I don't follow them because I don't have to. If I like and bookmark and repost a few of your things, you come up on my For You page very regularly, and I don't have to follow you, which is a problem because you then don't get the follow count. And also, you are kind of like farting into the wind with TikTok. Like, I post the same things on TikTok and on Instagram that are just short form bass playing content or talking head stuff, and something will get between like 4 and 15,000 views on Instagram. I never break out of the 300 view jail on TikTok. Yeah, I've had one video get like 4,000 views, which is me playing the bass ukulele.
It's weird, isn't it?
Everything else, like that Sabrina Carpenter video, that Sting cover I did the other day, both of them have like 250 views.
But that's not where the music nerds are. They're
not on TikTok. They're on Instagram and they're on YouTube, which is why one of my posts was my resolution was put more effort into YouTube over Instagram, because, as we both know, just make a reel from the YouTube video for 30 minutes more effort and just put that on Instagram, and then you won't feel bad if it doesn't perform super well because you were focusing on the YouTube video anyway.
Oh yeah, every single reel I produce to promote a YouTube video tanks. Like, it's never good. So that's fine. I know that. But yeah, I think collectively that's a very good one.
Totally.
Should we talk about podcast?
Let's talk about podcast, because wouldn't it be funny if we have the same podcasty one? But I'll let you go
I don't know if we will. So
leave the podcast.
Yes. Sign it off. I've got to. The first one is resolution. Big one. Start a mailing list. We're going to do it.
We were given some very good advice. We're going to do it.
Yeah, very soon. It's going to contain all sorts of bits and bobs. I won't say any more about it specifically because things might change, etc., as we go along. But my aim, and I want to launch it this month as well. Aim is to start a mailing list. So keep your eyes open if you want to get a bit of extra stuff without contributing financially. It's a good way of keeping up to date with a couple of things and having a little monthly treat in your email inbox.
In your Gmail stocking.
Yes. Along with that, I want to eventually do some merch. That's a goal for this year. Some podcast merch. I think it would be fantastic. We've got some ideas. It's just about bringing them to fruition for the lovely people.
And there's a common theme there. Me and you have had these ideas for ages. I mean, the mailing list was a new one. We were given that advice fairly recently, but me and you have been talking about merch for definitely a year now, I would say. Yeah. And we've not pulled the trigger, and that leads into the sort of like task procrastination thing we've talked about. I think you've got the what if factor as well, and I think launching the Patreon has basically told us, no, there are people here who actually like this podcast. I'm yet to understand why. Maybe you need to talk to someone about why you think we are worth.
Why this podcast episode has been about bass.
Why you think we are worthy of your attention absolutely baffles me. But thank you anyway. But task that just swings back round to task procrastination, I think. But yeah, we're going to do it. I'm happy to take that on as a joint New Year's resolution. My other one, and I hope we can do this, but it's whether we can or not. Maybe we can't, but I would like as a New Year's resolution, and I almost don't mind if we fail this, to take it weekly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we'd have to be a lot busier doing the podcast, and there'd have to be more things and more guests and all that sort of stuff. But I'm happy to call that one a 2-year resolution, because we might just not have enough stuff to warrant it this year. But one day, I want to be the point where this is busy enough to be a weekly thing.
Yes, and I think that is the long-term goal. It will increase in output. We do every other week at the moment. And we didn't say this at the top of the episode, but we've brought the episode forward a week. So this is kind of like a taste of that, because the last episode came out a week ago for listeners. Yeah. But that is so that we can fit in around January. Basically, I'm away a lot in January.
You are.
So it's just kind of trying to realign it so that it works.
And it's I think where we've moved it, bump this one forward 1 week, lines up with what you've got on so much better. But it's definitely a dream, and I think it's an achievable dream. I want it to be where, the same day every week is podcast day. We do that, we edit the content, we do all these kind of things. Or if we're going somewhere, we do it on those days. And then every week there's a new episode, and the Patreon's bigger. There's more stuff for the patrons. There's more things going on. Like, just more podcast.
More pod.
2 white men with a podcast. Wow. Incredible.
So unique.
Wow, guys. 2 men over 30 with a podcast.
Full of courage, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
Thank you so much. Nice drag race reference there.
Yes, and what does that spell?
Yeah, what does that spell? Beep.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to two white men rambling on a podcast. Lots of exciting things to come this year. Like we said, on Patreon now, we're going to be talking about your New Year's resolution. So if you want to listen to that episode, you can do so by going to patreon.com/in the pocket podcast, or click the link. Click the link. Ching. Click the link down in the description of this video or on your listening platform of choice. Speaking of your listening platform of choice, you can rate us 5 stars. It helps, something to do with algorithms, to help us reach more lovely people out there. And if you want to, thank you for that, Chris. If you want to, you can also give us a 5-star review. That'll be fantastic. Thank you very much. I think I just said that. Anyway, double down on it. Give us a 5-star review. That would be
great.
Amazing.
Roll of the R. Great roll of the R. I can't do that, so nice one.
Thank you. I've been thrown off Instagram.
Sorry.
Go and follow us over on there at In the Pocket Pod, and subscribe to us on YouTube to see our lovely faces. Speaking of lovely faces, Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere under That Guy on Bass. Give me a follow on Instagram. It really is up to you if you want to find me on TikTok. It's just the same stuff as Instagram. But I would very much appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's only one video on there. I'm really sorry. I'm going to film another one today. I'm going to give away what it is. Quite a few people have asked me for quite a while now, what's the deal with that Godan? I've never heard of one of these before or seen one of these before. So I'm going to do a bit of it's not really a review. I've not been sent it to be reviewed or anything like that, but it's kind of like this is this bass. I really like this bass. This is why. I'll do a bit of demo, go through a couple of tones and all that sort of stuff. Highlight what is different in my bass compared to the production model, which isn't a lot, but there is actually two main differences. And just shed some light on what I think is a really good instrument that basically no one talks about. Like whoever does like Godan's branding, for kicking them out to the wider musical bass, needs to have a word with themselves, because that's an amazing bass that no one is buying. No one, because you can't get hold of them.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, by the way. Do you know how much that bass is?
I would assume like 1,200 quid.
It's $2,000.
Oof, that's too much.
You know what? It's a fan. It's
great.
It's got a Canadian. It's a Canadian ash body. It's made in Canada. There's a couple of other things. It's got quarter pounders in it, stuff like that. The craftsmanship is really good. Like it's a really well made bass, but that's that's expensive money. $2,000 is a lot of money. It's actually 1,900 quid ish, but that's a lot. You can buy a lot of bass for that, and it's like, is it really? Is that the right price range for that? Really?
Made in Canada. That's why.
It is made in Canada, and the craftsmanship is very good. But yes, I'm going to do a video on that either this afternoon or tomorrow.
Exciting.
So give me a subscribe. Johnny, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jonny Dibble, or on YouTube, also just Jonny Dibble. Give us a googs and you'll find me pretty quick. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. See you next time.
Tassie, bye.